Good afternoon and welcome to Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lori Anne Casdia, and as you know, if you've been listening, Healthy Lifestyle is here to inspire, educate, and empower others to fulfilling a healthy, emotional, spiritual, and physical life. We need to feel empowered to live the life that we always have wanted and dreamed. We should lift each other up with encouragement and positivity, and I strongly believe we are here to serve each other. Speaking which of serving each other, I am so pleased to say that we have one of our favorite guests back, Gary Joseph of Beyond the Spirits. He is joining us today for the entire hour. So stay tuned and get some paper because we're going to talk about spirituality and the reduction of stress. So Gary, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me here.
Of course. No worries. So first I need to, and I feel the impulse to say congratulations.
Thank you.
You just had a very exciting event happen.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
The whole family, yep.
That's nice. A nice marriage in your family, and you had a gorgeous day.
It turned out to be absolutely amazing.
That's great.
It's exciting. First child to be married, and couldn't have gone better.
Wow. Big smile, big smile. You can't stop smiling every time you say that.
I couldn't help it.
That's a good thing. So congratulations from everybody here at Healthy Lifestyle. So let's talk about reducing stress spiritually.
Absolutely. I think when people think of stress, they immediately, just the word alone gets me all tight.
What
inside.
Is stress? What is stress?
Stress is actually when we believe we do not have the time, resources, or knowledge to handle a situation. So what does it do to us? We feel like we're out of control. So when we feel we're out of control, we just don't think clearly, we react differently, and usually with many different emotions such as anger or just, a sense of being, how could you say, a very quiet way sometimes. We get very quiet when we're stressful.
So aren't we being reactive when we get stressed as opposed to being maybe logical? We lose the thoughts?
Love it. Yes, absolutely. When we are under stress, we do most, not everyone, reacts, I would say react and not underreact. They tend to react quickly, which causes them to overreact.
Okay.
So rather than have a situation occur and we see the action, we have a reaction to it. And sometimes our reaction needs to just sit back, be quiet, wait a while, and before we overreact.
That's hard to do, though.
It is. Control.
Well, for me, I always thought stress was a reaction of having a lack of control or the perception of a lack of control.
Yes, actually it is as part of it, but there's also another side to stress. Like everything else, we are also spiritually challenged. And when we are spiritually challenged, we tend to handle stress in a different manner.
So I'm going to just turn the table for a second and say that would it be accurate for me to say that when we're stressed, we're really focused from the ego side and not from an observer side?
Yes, that would be actually correct. When we
actually
are
correct. Look at me.
Correct. I love that. I love it. You are coming from a humanity side, I should say, and what you are doing in the physical world, you are actually taking your ego, and you tend to think that you're being attacked, or you tend to think of however the stress level is coming. Sometimes it's not an argument. Sometimes it's an actual situation. Sometimes we're feeling overburdened. It's lots of different things, but those are all usually in physical world situations. So sometimes the only thing we can do is to either work on the project that we're on or try to organize and prioritize to the best of our ability. But there's yet another aspect of it. The part that most people completely forget about is the inner part of you. You can actually control that in a different way. We have to think. We have to try to organize in our minds. It doesn't necessarily mean physically doing something. Sometimes it's the deep breath in, the cleansing breath out, and then saying, okay, where am I now? And then making some decisions as to what is our priority and what isn't. When everything is a priority, nothing's a priority.
So what are the signs of stress?
The signs of stress, they really do vary, but I would say basic things that are physical in reaction. Headaches, cold or sweaty hands or palms sometimes, panic attacks. Those are very common. Most people will turn around and say, I have heartburn, I'm feeling stomach pains, or nauseous, I can't sleep at night. All those kinds of things are stress. Obsessive compulsive disorders. Stress can trigger those.
Okay.
I have LCD, so I know.
Yeah, me too.
When I get absolutely stressed, I start cleaning. Me too.
I clean. You can tell when I'm stressed out. My house is spotless. The car is spotless. My poor dog's gotten like 4 baths.
Yeah.
It's just
when I happen to get stressed, even if it's at work, a couple of people at my office would look at me and I start spraying the microwave and cleaning it, and they're like, they have cleaning people there doing that. And I'm like, I know, but I have to get this done. I feel like I'm actually wiping away all the other stuff that makes me stressed, and I made it very clean and nice because I'm thinking in the process of doing.
That's what I was going to say. When I'm cleaning, I'm actually giving myself a task to do, and I'm processing things. I'm actually taking that breath and going, okay, let's look at the facts. Let's look at where I actually have control. Let's look at what's out of my control, and let's look if it's really something I need to be stressing over. Sometimes we take on other people's things and suddenly it becomes your problem. Being problem solvers, we automatically go to, okay, how can I help? Well, maybe it's not something you need to help with or can help with. And now you're kind of assuming those stresses. So let's talk about the consequences of stress. What are the consequences?
Quite a few. But just to really quickly interject on what you just said before, what you just talked about at that moment was exactly what spiritual control of stress is. It's actually sitting down and quieting our activity around us physically and putting ourselves within ourselves to come up with the answers. It's giving ourselves like almost a mini meditation. It clears the mind and it causes us to clean, or we want to fold, or we want to wreck the drawers, or whatever we want to do, which reduces that stress. It actually causes us to become more spiritual that second and make sure that we're cleansing our entire minds so that we can bring ourselves to a level of where we can actually feel as though we are in control once again.
Yeah, that's an act of distraction, don't you think?
Yes,
Our cleaning
it is.
is an act of distraction, or somebody messing something up is an act of distraction.
Absolutely.
That allows us to take, that's maybe our version of taking that breath.
Oh, yeah.
Before we actually take the breath.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and then you can't help it. So when things are nice and tidy and neat, then I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, wait, I have to think about this. So,
It's true, yeah.
But it does give me a sense of calm. And that to me is I can control that.
That's
By cleaning my environment, I can control it and make it all nice and tidy. And then I can work on what I can't make nice and tidy.
That's right. And what you're doing is you're welcoming your spirituality at that moment. You're actually welcoming it and saying, okay, I am out of control on this. I don't know what to do. Everything's a mess. Help me. And we don't realize it because we're not actually calling for it. But we don't realize, but our spirituality is actually saying, calm down. We will get through this. And that's what you have to start listening to.
The need to do that.
Yes.
So let's go back to the consequences of stress. I want to circle back to this conversation, but let's go to the consequences, because we looked at what stress is, what the signs of stress. What are the consequences?
There's a few. All right. It varies everywhere from inability to do our jobs effectively. Can really affect our day-to-day work. It affects how we work with one another and other people. It also affects how we ourselves communicate with ourselves. It can go into serious impact on our careers and our general well-being, and also our entire relationships, our romantic relationships, our friendships, our family ships. All those things are consequences to having this unneeded stress in our life. So when we come home, they used to say, you come home, you kick the dog. Please don't kick the dog. Yeah. I love the animals. I love them. But no, they would say something like that, meaning that the action is that you're taking it on someone you love.
It's reactionary.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it spills over.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we always go toward the ones we love, the ones that are actually sitting there in our corner, and we seem to always take it out on them. So what does it do? It stresses the relationship.
Right. But we do that because we know it's the safest person to have that reaction to, even though we shouldn't do that.
Right. Correct. We shouldn't do it, but we are safe there. And we also know we're probably not going to be judged because they really do know who we are. And at that moment, since they know us so well, they can make an excuse for it. Yeah. Others will not.
Well, and sometimes if you do it enough, those excuses go away. They don't put it aside, and they start taking it on themselves.
Yep.
And we have to think about that, even though we're being reactionary, and they should understand it's not really addressed at them. We're just looking for a sounding board potentially. Mm-hmm. People look for sounding boards, and I've found that you need to tell someone, okay, I'm not upset with you, but I'm going to be upset right now, and that's when you can have that kind of reaction. Then it's not reactionary. There's actually focus to it. We know we're just trying to get let the steam out of the pot, so to speak.
Right, and what you don't realize is that you actually are placing a meaning on it. So whereas you're ranting and raving the other times, or you're showing no signs of verbal communication, but you are actionary, as you said, moving things, pushing things, slamming the door, those things do block the communication. So in cases like that, we really want to make sure that our spirituality is kind of in check at that moment, even at that moment when we're turning around and we're saying, calm down, let me communicate this. I'm going to be upset. I am going to be, bothered. I know I'm married 30 years, August 21st this year. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I love it. And I will tell you that my wife can read me like she can read a book. Yeah. I mean, that she's read 1,000,000 times. But when I am stressed, the first thing she would say to my kids when they were young is, leave Dad alone. He needs a few moments. And they would go about doing their thing. I would go in my room. I would decompress. And then I come back out that wonderful new person. That is, for me, meditation was a form to try to get control of that.
Right.
But there's so many other different ways, which we'll discuss in a little bit. What you were talking about actually was long-term stress also.
Yes.
So that we had our short-term where it affects our jobs very quickly or things like that. But conditions such as a burnout, long-term stress can cause heart disease. Yeah. It can cause stroke. Depression is a very, one that's very, very, accepted, I guess, in a form of lack of better words. High blood pressure, weakened immune systems. We have no idea what stress does to us. Now, there's good stress and bad stress. The good stress is when we are pushing ourselves and feeling accomplished.
Right, yes.
So people will say, oh, what is good stress? That is good stress. It's okay. It's taking on a relationship that you feel is worthy of working towards. And you continue at working towards that, and you're getting positive results.
That's like being pushed out of the box, out of your comfort zone. That's good stress.
Absolutely.
That's good stress. You're listening to Healthy Lifestyle on Long Island News Radio 103.9. I'm Lori Anne Casdia, and we are speaking to Gary Joseph. We're talking about reducing stress spiritually. So yeah, good stress is good stress. I don't consider it stress. I think it's just putting ourselves in a situation that's not as comfortable, but yet the outcome, the direction is very positive. So in speaking that and keeping that, when we're stressed out, our clear thinking goes away, our problem solving capabilities diminish. How can I help relieve stress spiritually?
Well, there's lots of different ways to do that. We're going to talk about a few of them today. Yep. And what we really want to look at is how do we manage that stress? And there are tangible ways to do that. So in the physical sense, we can exercise more. Okay. That does release stress. It is also healthy for us if it's done, properly.
Correct.
Eating healthy foods. We all know that a healthy diet is going to actually help our bodies to cope with that stress.
Yes, but when most people are stressed out, they eat terribly.
That's when you can't.
Comfort food. And comfort food is never healthy food.
Now think about this. Your body's out of control. It's stressed.
Yes.
What does it do? It wants sugar.
Yep.
It wants the comfort
Carbs.
food. That's your body's negative sense of saying, I'm stressing you out, and now I want to do more damage. Well, if we know somebody wants to do damage to us, we have to stop it.
Right.
Right? So at that moment when we're stressed, we have to be very cognizant the fact that our body is reacting to something negative, and now it wants to create more fuel for the negativity.
So, I'm going to bring it from my side
Go
for a
ahead.
second. So I'm stressed out, freaking out. And now you want me to pay attention to the fact that I can't have carbs and sugar? You're killing me, Gary.
That's right. You're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah, you're killing me, Smalls. Seriously.
Well, this is true.
So how do we do this? How do we learn how to do it? Because it's learned. You have to learn. We learned how to stress out because we didn't stress when we were kids. Because we just did. We jumped into
the stress
feed
was that, like, I couldn't have that toy, or how come I'm eating a bologna sandwich when I really wanted peanut butter and jelly?
Yeah, all right.
Again,
Well,
the sugar,
Fair enough. That's true.
But it is. You just begin to have behavioral changes.
Okay.
So stress is nothing more than you having an opportunity to look at something negative in your life and figure out, how am I going to handle this differently? So the best thing you can do is, when you're feeling that overwhelming sense of stress, is to stop yourself at that moment and say, okay, the normal thing is, I'm angry, I'm annoyed, I'm coming home, I'm going to slam the door. No, I'm not going to slam the door. I'm not going to slam the door this time. I'm going to actually close the door lightly. I'm going to go into a room and I'm going to take some deep breaths. Or I'm going to come out of my bad place and I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to go into the shower. Something that rewards me in a sense that I am feeling better about myself.
Okay.
So when you're in that stressful mode, the best thing you can do is support yourself more spiritually and make sure you're doing something that is going to help you and benefit you by feeling better and better about yourself.
So you say support yourself spiritually. What do you mean when you say that, Gary?
Spirituality to me is everything in my life. So when I have a stressful situation, for me, because I have been working on this for a while, I know that quiet to myself is the best way for me to handle that stress. So I will go into a room, I take some deep breaths, I hold it for a few seconds, not forever, until I pass out. No. I hold it for a few seconds.
Different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation. We'll need a doctor here for that one. And then I usually blow out all of the negativity. So when I'm breathing in, I go, I hold it, and then I just blow out all the negativity, and I start absolutely feeling a sense of calmness. What we don't realize is that when we're taking in that oxygen, it's slowing everything down, including the very thing that's making us real out of control with stress. By creating now a bad action, I am calming it down and saying, no, we're changing this. And I make it a better action.
I see. So would this be similar to the count to 10?
Yes.
Okay.
Could be similar to the count of 10, but again, the breathing itself is very important, because we don't realize when we're taking in oxygen and we're holding it for a few seconds and then we're just letting it go, we're actually connecting with our spirituality. And our soul, our spirit, is actually stepping before our physical self and is saying, I'm in control now.
Right.
Not the physical things.
Okay. I see what you're saying there. So we want to have behavioral changes. We want to stop. We want to take a breath, and then probably take a couple more.
Oh yeah.
And then kind of
just don't hyperventilate.
Exactly. If it requires a brown bag, we know that's not the way we want to go. So we're basically, it's the act of distracting ourselves from the situation that has made us feel stressed to regain the perception of control, get more spiritual, so that we can really hear the voices in our head of how to handle it.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
You're always on point there.
Yeah.
See, you get it. You get it.
I do get it.
Now, I know all of our listeners are going to get it too. So in a little bit, we're going to have a little bit of an exercise for them to do at home.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
When we come back, I would love to go through some of the exercises. I love that we're going through what stress is, the signs of stress, consequences of stress. These are challenges. And some people look at stress as just, people don't look at it as stress, but they're challenges. When there's a challenge that comes to you that you're not anticipating, that formulates into stress.
Yes,
Would you
it does.
agree with that?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So I would love to come back after we take a bit of a break in a few to go through a couple of exercises and for the listening audience to be able to think about how they can introduce spirituality more in their lives, because we hear a lot about spirituality. This is second nature to you. You breathe it literally and figuratively, but we all don't. And we're trying to get it into our lives. So how do we, really just a quick synopsis right now, how do we get that into our lives, Gary?
Well, a couple of ways to help with our stress relief. Feeling a sense of purpose. That means cultivating your spirituality. That means making sure that you uncover what's most meaningful in your life by clarifying what's most important to you. You can focus less on unimportant things and eliminate stress. Connecting with the world is important. Releasing control. Expanding your support network. And what I love is leading a healthier life.
We'll be back with Gary Joseph. I'm Lori Anne Casdia, and you are listening to Healthy Lifestyle. Welcome back to Healthy Lifestyle. I'm Lori Anne. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas on topics you'd like to hear more about, please email us at healthylifestylewithla@gmail.com. Also, follow us on social media at Healthy Lifestyle with LA. If you were with us on the first part, we are speaking with Gary Joseph, and he is from Beyond the Spirits. And we're going to continue the conversation with Gary. Gary, before we left, you had spoken about 4 things or 5 things that we wanted to talk about. So you mentioned them very quickly. Can we start and retrack back to connecting with the world? What do you mean when you say connecting with the world?
Okay, connecting with the world is actually feels as though the more you feel you have a purpose in the world, the less solitary you may feel, which means even when you're alone, you're not really alone. The other thing is this can lead to a valuable inner peace during difficult times. So connecting with the world means that you are not by yourself.
Right.
Even though we feel lonely at times, we are not lonely. We are actually very connected in other ways solely through our spirituality. All right, so I can be sitting in my room by myself. However, when I am spiritually connecting, I am near all other energy that is what I am actually drawing forward or drawing up.
Well, now you speak about I keep circling back to this. I'm like circling the wagons. I keep circling around you on this, on spirituality. The connectivity that you're talking about, it's a belief system, is it not?
Yes, it is. The belief system most people will connect solely with is religious.
Okay.
And that's fine.
Yes.
That absolutely is not a problem. I'm religious. However, but your belief system is really spirituality. Your belief system is what you deem to be your faith, your belief in something or in someone or somewhere that you cannot see, you cannot hear at times, you cannot feel at times, but you just know it's there.
Okay, so it could be a religion, it could be the universe, it could be a God, it could be whatever it is that allows you to connect.
Yeah, it could be nature, okay. It could be family members, it could be whatever it is.
Okay, so with that spirituality, we speak about connecting with the world. I know that when I'm in a spiritual head, I'd never feel alone because I know that I'm not. I'm always surrounded, whether it's actual people in front of me or the feeling of that spirituality. I have a really hard time articulating what that feeling is, but I don't feel alone anymore, especially since I connect with the spirit beings, if you will.
Right.
And I always feel like, my mom and dad are with me. People might think I'm crazy, but I really feel that there's a lot of presence around me. And knowing that that's there, it helps balance me, for a lack of a better phrase. Would that make sense? Yeah,
definitely. That would help you balance. And I like that word. Balance is very important because we do need to have human contact and human conversation and all of that. But we also need to know that our quiet time is when our family members and those who have transitioned over actually get some time with us as well. So we have to know that even in those moments, we're not alone. And that's important because that's how we connect to the world itself. It's not just a physical world, but it's a spiritual world.
Right. I heard something, you were on a show, and I heard something that you had indicated, which was that we are souls in a body.
Correct.
And I love that because it didn't change it. Before we were seeking our souls, whereas we are the souls. It just happens to be in this body form this time.
Right. And it's no different than to put it in like in sometimes where people can understand it more on a daily basis is that when we are actually going ahead and we're looking for a house, we put ourselves inside the house. The house is like the body. What makes the inner happenings, what makes it happy, what makes it not, is us inside of it, and that is our spirit. So our energy and our spirit is inside of our house. When we are done with the house, we transition and move to a different one, correct?
Yes.
We're doing the same thing when people call it a death. I don't call it a death. It's just a transition. Our souls are absolutely, unequivocally, instinctively eternal. So we are going to live forever without question. It's just a matter of, how we do it.
And therein lies the connection with the world. I know that connecting with the world when I'm feeling stressed, to circle back to the first part of the show, helping others is my stress release. Because I get outside of myself, I stop thinking about what's going on with me, I help other people, and answers come.
Yep.
Answers come. There's clarity through that process, whether it be cleaning or helping other people, serving others. And that's why I always say on the show, I really believe we're here to serve others, because when you're doing it, you feel the best. And also it provides you with this amazing feeling of accomplishment. And coupled with that are a lot of answers to what's going on in your life.
Yep.
Because I feel like it's
correct.
reflective.
Yeah, it definitely is reflective. Also, part of all that is releasing control. I think everybody has a problem with this one.
About that.
Yes, release control. Release that control.
Release control. Actually, it is freeing. I know it sounds euphoric, but it really is. It's really freeing to release the control, because the control really isn't there to begin with. You're just holding on really tight to something that you don't have control over anyway. And knowing the difference is total amazement. And I think that's what you mean when you say releasing control. Yeah,
definitely. And I could tell you, our listeners, just know that you are not, by yourselves here. I always have a problem with this one.
Sure.
Releasing control, because I always like things in my life to know what's happening, when it's happening, when I really actually know better. I always say we plan, God laughs. And I look at it and, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
But releasing control means that you're not responsible for everything that happens in your life. Something happens illness-wise. It doesn't mean you're responsible for that. It happened. So you need to release the control from that to say, I didn't cause this.
Right.
If something in your life is a relationship that is suffering and you cannot repair that relationship, you have to stop and say to yourself, I am not responsible for everything that happened in that relationship.
Correct.
So I need to release that so that I can move on. Never really counting on the other person to release it for you. You have to spiritually reduce that stress by being the one accountable to release it. You have to determine at this moment, I am releasing this. It is done. So you made that choice. And that's where we feel, in a sense, releasing control is almost giving you control.
Yeah, it actually feels that way.
That's the most wonderful feeling. That's the best control in the world.
Yeah, it's because you can't control what another person thinks, says, or does.
Nope.
You can only control what you're doing. And releasing the control over other things, it does bring the control back to you. It really does. And when you recognize, I've said this before, I was trying to figure out, I refer to it as a pile of hay. Mm-hmm. You can get the imaging of what that is. And in it was everything that I had taken on, of which not everything was my responsibility. And I needed to learn how to separate what was my responsibility as opposed to what was other people's responsibility. There's a difference between taking on their stuff, we'll say, and being there and supportive. So that's where I came up with a phrase that worked for me, which is, this is a you problem, not a me problem. And this is a me problem, not a you problem. Mm-hmm. And by having that separation, knowing that it's a you problem, I'm there to support you any way that I can, but I don't take it on. I take on enough with my own me problems. I don't really need to take on everybody else's. So I can still be that fixer, that go-to fixer that I am, without taking on everybody's stuff, if you will.
Isn't that a great feeling? To know
it's beautiful.
that you've helped someone.
Yes.
However, it didn't mean that you had to take it from them. You just helped someone. You helped them by listening to them. You helped them by having conversation with them.
Yes.
You didn't have to fix it.
Correct. And exactly. And or if they didn't take, my mom used to say, well, why do I give you my opinion if you don't take it? Well, I could put out options and give my opinion on something. I don't feel offended if you don't take it because that's your choice, whether you take it or not.
Right.
But you asked me, so I gave you my opinion.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And it ends there. That's where like I have a visual of like, that's where it cuts off and then the water flows on your side. And if you take it, that's fine. If you don't, it's no different. It doesn't change who I am. You just chose to go in a different direction. That's fine.
That's right.
And that's your right.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with that.
And that goes with releasing control, I think.
Absolutely.
So another thing you had mentioned was expanding support network. A lot of people don't know what that means. What does that mean?
Well, your support network can actually come in many different ways. So spiritually, it can come in a church, a mosque, a synagogue, but it also can come in your family. It actually comes for me in nature walks. All right. So when I go walking around, I do take a look at the birds and the trees and the leaves and the flowers. And I do like to take that in. And I see that as my spiritual reinforcement. You know, everything in this world, I always say, must transition over, no matter which way you look at it.
Sure.
Nothing lives here forever. However, the things that were placed here for a purpose and for beauty. And every day that I look and I see the tree is actually beautiful with green leaves, I love it because it's a remembrance to me that God always renews. And then I see the times that the leaves fall. And people look at that and say, oh, but all the leaves are dying. No, they're not dying. They're beautiful in color. So they're just transitioning.
Right.
So it's no different. I look at it as though it was a beautiful process. And their beautiful colors, something you would not have gotten while everybody looked at life, per se. But now it's actually transitioned over to something that's so more aesthetically beautiful to look at. So, if I can keep the trees like that color all year round.
Oh, I know.
I'd love it.
Magnificent. My go-to is the ocean. Water is a very reaction.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
and it's so
calming.
Seasonal. Yeah, it's seasonal. You can get there in the fall and it's unbelievable. You can get there in the winter. You can get there in the spring and the summer. They all have different feelings, the ocean.
It's funny because both of those examples, whether it's tree nature, the ocean nature, what I look at why the ocean works for me is it reminds me how powerful and that there's way bigger things than me. And it makes me feel more like the grain of sand as part of the beach. I'm one of many, as opposed to it being all, so self-absorbed and it provides a comfort. It reminds me, it brings back my perspective. And just like the tree with the leaves falling and the change of seasons, the great thing, and I love spring because it's new and it, everything is rebirthed again and it comes back and it's exciting and it feels good. Putting aside the hay fever and side effects. But all that whole cycle reminds us that every single day, every single morning is the trees coming on with the leaves again. We have another opportunity to be a better us every single day. And to me, there's the glory in what we do.
Absolutely. And then you'll also, my favorite is flowers. I love the flowers that actually open in the day and close at night.
They go to sleep.
Yep, that's exactly beautiful because to me that's just the beginning and the promise of letting us know that every day is a new day. It's going to open up. It will look different than yesterday.
So the support network, swinging back to that, it could be family members, can be a religious organization, can be friends, can be your work. Co-workers.
Could be co-workers. It could be nature walks with friends. Could be sharing of spiritual expressions that can help build relationships. There's lots of things that actually expand our support network.
And then leading to a healthier life. What do you mean by that?
Well, I look at a healthier life means a healthier lifestyle. That just means every aspect of your life.
Healthy lifestyle? That's
healthy
a great
lifestyle. Name. I don't know. I think of that's a radio show.
I think it's a really good radio station.
I like the name of that one.
So I'm sorry. I digress. I'm 5.
I'm right there with you. But people who consider themselves spiritual may be able to better cope with stress and may experience health benefits when they are leading a more healthier life.
Yeah.
So when you are exercising, it really does reduce stress. It also has benefits to the physical body and the spiritual self. But when you're going in and you're maybe going to church or something along those lines, or you're just praying, whatever it is that you do, that also relieves a lot of stress. Giving up our troubles to someone like God is an actual release of stress. It means saying, I no longer have any control over this. I've tried. So at this moment in time, it's all yours. Do it as you want, but just let me know how I need to proceed.
Drop the mic. I'm out.
There you go. I'm out. That's it. I'm just going to follow your lead.
There you go. I really think this is great, and spirituality is a practice. It's something you really do have to practice, whether it be religious or spiritual, meditation, doing various things. Can we go through an exercise that will help everyone who's listening start down this line?
Absolutely. A great suggestion. What I would love for everyone to do right now is just listen and jot down a few answers. It should be not very big answers, just a couple of words or whatever. But this will allow you to answer some of the questions I'm going to shoot at you, and it will help you to discover what experiences and values are defined with you. One of the things is, what are your important relationships? This could be any type of relationship. It could be a relationship with your dog. It could be a relationship with your boss. It could be a relationship with yourself, whatever. And the next thing is, what do you value most in your life? That's a serious one.
Yeah, that is.
Start looking at your value system. Start looking at your own ethics and so on and so forth.
You don't mean like my favorite necklace. You mean...
Yeah, I mean your actual value system in your life. Like not possession.
Yes. Just being clear.
Yeah, very good, though. I never thought of that. And then what people give you a sense of community. That's important.
Well, what does that mean, sense of community?
A sense of community means anywhere, again, from churches or religious organizations to helping the homeless, or to gathering of your friends together, or to sit down in a meditative group.
Part of
anything.
something.
Yes.
Part of something.
Part of something.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What inspires you and gives you hope?
You? Oh, wait.
Oh, thank
you weren't asking me.
I appreciate that. But yeah, definitely what inspires and gives you hope. Start thinking about that, because that's going to start allowing you the ability of knowing where your changes are going to start coming from. So if I say, let's just say going to the doctor for a better way of eating or things along those lines, that inspires me and gives me hope, then I definitely would act on that.
Okay.
Because that's going to make me a better person. It'll also reduce my stress.
Right, and that goes to what I say all the time, which is do a little something for yourself. So go find a nutritionist to make you feel better.
Absolutely.
And it moves you in the direction not only of a healthy lifestyle, but also it moves you more towards your spirituality.
Yep, it definitely feeds the body and the soul. And then what brings you joy? What makes you happy? Those are important things to know. How could you be happy and joyful if you don't know what does it? So no one has to come up with some sort of block answer on that one. That should be different for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, going home and hugging my dog brings me joy beyond belief.
Yes.
I'm happy.
Yes.
And I know it makes him happy. For another thing that makes me happy is reading.
Yeah.
I love a solitary time. I love reading mini mysteries. And I just sit back and I take my quiet time and I get involved. Something that takes me outside of my existing world and put into a different place where my mind gets to absorb, and it also gets to relive a different part of life, or a completely different life.
So it could be anything. It's just whatever makes you happy.
Right.
Got it.
The last thing I want you to think about, listeners, are what are your proudest achievements? If you are not for yourself, who will be for you? So celebrate that. Celebrate every great thing you do. I don't care what it is. If you got an award, celebrate it. You're not boasting. You're not bragging. You are celebrating it.
And you deserve it. You earned it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you held the door open, celebrate it. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. I mean, don't sit there and dance in front of the person. If you want, you could do that too. But definitely say, I
Make a
feel
longer day.
good. Yeah, I feel good about it.
Right.
It's wonderful. And then jot it down. Jot it on your phone.
It's like
Jot it
when
on
you-
a paper.
It's like when you do a good thing and you feel good about it, write it down and be proud of yourself. You can be proud of yourself. That's not humble. It's
Yeah, you should be proud of
recognizing.
yourself. You
Recognizing.
should. If you're not proud of yourself, then you really need to evaluate what it is that's making you feel that way. Because being prideful within yourself allows you to be better and prideful in others and others' actions.
Well, I love this. This is really great. We are running out of time, so I need to have you back again, Gary. And I think what I'd like to do is this monthly anyway. The website for future seminars, psychic nights, and all events is beyondthespirits.com. And if you want to schedule a reading, speak to Gary, it's great. It is a wonderful, wonderful site to go to and will help you towards your spirituality and building your practice for yourself. Again, doing a little bit for yourself every day is really important. This may be where you start. Just really quickly, can you breeze through those really, really quickly, just in case somebody missed one of them?
Yes. Which ones?
The questions they should ask themselves.
Yes, absolutely. Those questions are... Here we go. Oh, here we go. All right. What are your important relationships? What do you value most in your life? What people give you a sense of community? What inspires you and gives you hope? What brings you joy? What makes you happy? And what are your proudest achievements?
Thank you so much, Gary, for joining us today. Always a pleasure to have you on. In the meantime, follow us on social media at Healthy Lifestyle with LA. Thank you so much, Brian, our producer. He's wonderful. And thank you so much, Gary. Again, Gary's website is beyondthespirits.com. I look forward to seeing you again. Do a little something for yourself every day. Until next time, show up for you, show up big. I'm Lori Anne Casdia, and you have been listening to Healthy Lifestyle. Have a great day.